Hello, everyone, and welcome to our June 6th, 2024 webinar on rewards and blind count best practices. If you have any questions, there is a question and answer box that should be on the right-hand side of your screen. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to drop those in there. Our team will either answer you directly, follow up with you after, or we'll answer your question live during the session. And with that, Seth, are you ready?
I am ready. Okay. So today we're covering the rewards and then the end of day cash count out functionality. And then we'll at the end I'll talk about a couple updates that we put out. But for right now, we're going to start on the point of sale and we're going to start with rewards. And so rewards in essence function a lot like coupons when it comes to the filtering and the setup. One thing you might see is no rewards name down here, no ability to get rewards. And that's either because it's turned off or you have rewards functioning as cash instead of as awards. So there's different terminology in the system. The reward is the mechanism and the award is the thing in the box that we apply. So what we're going to see is the build of this award, which is capsule $10 off, value $10. But as you can see, recently we adjusted it so that every time you fetch or add a coupon or reward, it doesn't snap back up to the top of the page. So now we're staying down at the page as we work with these things. And as we can see, the capsule is the only thing that I can line item because that's the filter that we'll look at. So we can apply an award and then we'll have it down here just like we have coupons and it'll be designated as reward. So another quick hit on the point of sale is we can see a customer's rewards anytime by opening up their drawer. And this is a permission, so I could change Patrick's rewards to whatever I wanted here. But again, this is a one-off permission to allow rewards adjustments. So if that is on some people's accounts and it's not wanted, you can turn it off or vice versa, of course. And so when we look at the reward setup itself, just a couple things. There's, setting up the awards, and then there's the reward setup. And the reward setup is where we can change a couple pieces of information here as far as, what customer groups get rewards. So we could say like only vets get rewards or any of these customer groups that we can put into the system. Leaving them unchecked means that people that are not in any group at all will get rewards. And then points earned by the following, types, and then the categories included. So a system will start out with a no. So this will mean no rewards. This means nobody's aggregating or accruing rewards points during sales. And there's no ability to apply, obviously rewards to orders. Turning it on, we have, the how many dollars is the point worth? And I have, 10 cents here. We have the ability to have rewards accrue on orders where rewards are being redeemed, yes or no. And do people get reward points for the taxes that they pay? That can be a yes or no. Of particular note, recently added in the last year or so, the discount versus payment tender has been put in. So what this does, let's say back on Patrick's order, I have a $10 order and then I have a 10% tax rate, right? So $10 with a 10% tax rate is going to be $11. Well, if we have the reward set to discount, it will function like a normal discount. So if we have, say, a $1 reward, that will change the subtotal to $9. And then the $9 is what will become taxed. So then we'll have a 90-cent tax. Some states require that rewards actually don't function like discounts because this, sometimes this states want all their tax money. So what happens here with payment tender is that scenario that we just talked about. This would be it would be $1 tax instead of 90 cents because the reward would be applied to the whole pre-discounted or pre-discounted or pre-taxed pre-discounted amount. So we would discount, we would have to pay tax on the full amount even though we're receiving a discount. So of course it would go down to $9, but we would have $1 of tax because that's the tax of the $10, the pre-discounted subtotal. And then that $1 would go on to the $9. So it gives the ability to apply the rewards before or after tax, basically. And then the other way we can look at this, so we saw where we can add an award that we'll look at building. We can add that to the point of sale, just like a coupon. Then the other side is when points are used as currency. And then points balance set or zeroed out after a certain number of days of visits. Or after a certain number of non-visits. So like we could have 100 in here and then points would start zeroing out after 100 days of after the points were accrued. So to look at the points used as dollars, this basically allows just the redemption of anything at anything on the payment screen based on the rewards that somebody has. So if we look at Patrick here, who's got some rewards points, canceled his order. Now we'll start another one. And this one, we won't see the rewards ability on the fulfillment screen. So again, we have that box gone now. And then we'll have it on the next page. So the previous one I set up, and we'll see the setup for it. It gave $10 off. So that's a $10 non-negotiable if you have a certain number of points. Whereas here now, Patrick has a certain number of rewards points and we have a redemption rate. So I could say, 10 for this, and then that's going to change the subtotal and then I can pay for the rest of it. So this would give the option of paying with any number of points to get any dollar amount that you have available. And so a little flexibility there. And once rewards are set up, if you're not using them as payment tender, then we have rewards here in the facility settings versus the admin settings. And so we have our capsule $10 off, and we'll just modify this one so we can look at the fields. The name, just like on the coupons, the reward type cash or percent, and then what is the value of it. This is the number of points needed in order for this reward to show up. So it'll just not show up in the dropdown until the person has that number of points. And then 50 points will come off once 10 is used. Then it's a whole order or a line item. And the whole order, of course, in the order we just looked at wouldn't make a difference because I still have the capsule filter on there. So even though there's 2 items on the order subtotal would still just discount it would respect the filters. And so for any individual rewards, like maybe you let everybody accrue rewards points, but maybe only in this case, vets get this reward. So we can determine customer groups that get the rewards. We can do rewards based on vendor. And this is a multi-select like in the coupon setup. And then we can do individual products. And then if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, we were talking product lists with the coupons. Well, product lists are also available to be put onto the rewards, and we could do multiple product lists on the rewards. All right, and so that is the rewards. Right now, we'll look at the cash count. Now, the idea here is removing the need for the sales associate to add up money and then just make an individual register adjustment, which certainly is easy enough to do. Like you can come in here and modify the register, transfer cash, but this would require like adding up all the money from the register. And then there's, not a lot of, then there's just one log entry for changing the dollar amount effectively, right? The balance. And so until you enable this feature, that's the only way to actually adjust the register. So if we go into facility settings and then advanced settings and then sales settings, at the bottom right of the page, we have this. Now, we put this functionality in, a couple years ago. And so instead of having it show up for everybody, we turned it to no, and you have the option to turn it on. But like if you have a new site, this will be defaulted to no. So we want to enable it there. And we're going to look at the ability to do the employee count plus the verification, but you can do either one or the other, or both. And so this is like the two-step side of it. And now that I'm back to the settings that I was originally on, I don't need to save the page, of course. And so we have our cash count out enabled. And so we're going to go to sales reports, then we're going to go to the closing report. And so when we go to the closing report, a little hidden off here, especially if the page is down, we have open registers and closed registers. So this is our list of registers. And of course, not all registers are cash registers. So one thing we're going to look at really quickly is the register logic here. And so when we set up registers, this vault is what we're going to put the cash into over here, collected from. So you'll see this when we get into the actual count out. But when I create any register, I can have a register as, you know, an accounts payable register. This won't show up for point of sale, right? We'll have the vault, we'll have sales transactions. This will be sales registers, and then we'll have vaults. And when we have vaults, we can collect from whichever registers we want. So you could have registers, and then you could have, say, like a floor safe, and the registers might only collect might only transfer into the floor safe, and then the floor safe might only transfer into the back safe. So you can put guardrails of where cash can move and when. And we can see here that I have one closed register in the system. This is our register 2. I was just playing with this earlier. But note that that's why register 2 doesn't show up on my select. Well, it does when I'm in the closed registers, but as soon as I get on the open registers, it won't be selectable for taking transactions, so we can actually properly close it and money's not stacking up on it. And so when we close a register, we're going to close it. It'll remove from this page. It'll come up on the closed registers. Now I've already closed out, or I've already counted out and verified number 2. So at any point I can open all registers from here if I just had to like start the day and get moving. But I can open individual registers, and there's not any danger of a register getting double counted. And so pretty basic once we get to the count, you know, denominations and quantities. So in this case, we'll just keep it easy. I'll say, you know, one $100 bill and 5 $20 bills for 200. I can reset the register to an actual dollar amount. Just to keep the math easy here, we'll say we're resetting it to 0. The reset is there, like if you have, you know, locking lids or something, and you put $200 in it, lock it up and put it back in the safe. So it actually goes back, not empty, but loaded with the next shift's starting cash. So it gives the ability to do that. But our current drop is $200, and it's going to our drop register. The only register that's collecting from register 1 and 2 is the vault. And we can save and print this. And, you know, and put it in the envelope with the cash, or we can just save it. Now we have the verify count stage. So another manager can come, you know, another sales associate or manager, whoever's verifying, can come in here. And now they'll see what the employee counted out. And if it's right on, we can see what the total expected was. So the register actually had, now this is showing it to the manager, for $417 in. So the fact that we're collecting $200 means we're $217, you know, off. And if we were to say, maybe we found another $100 bill, now this is what it's going to look like. So the count was still $217 off, but the actual over under was 117 because the manager found another 100 somewhere that the employee might have missed. And so then the discrepancy is between these two counts. The discrepancy against the total, of course, is 117, but the discrepancy between these two counts is $100. And then we could push it in like that. We can save and print that again. and then save, and then open all registers. We're ready to go. And, from a best practices standpoint, we have a lot of seasoned operators, obviously, in Pennsylvania that have been going for a while, and not a lot of new stores open up yet. So, I'm sure have your workflows. A lot of times what people will do with registers is instead of setting up registers as the physical registers, they'll set them up as the actual cash drawers, right? So if you have 4 registers and 12 actual inserts, maybe you have 12 inserts on here, and that way you can pull an insert out and lock it if you don't want to hold up the register to do the count out, and then that could be done in the back if that's a procedure. So sometimes these are the drawers instead of the actual physical registers. So we released last night, and this was a follow-up because we wanted to get support relieved from the reassign button that we made disappear on accident. So now on the supply chain, on the inventory receipts, you will have the edit for completed receipts. You'll have the reassign packages, the edit inventory receipt button on here. So you can come back in now and fix your own stuff again. I can explain why this happened next week, but this was part of the effort of some cost editing that we're going to have on the front end coming soon. And we put this under the same toggle. I'll explain that next week. But in essence, you can reassign your packages again now. And what we also did was really put a lot of work into addressing the case where, and we were talking to a client yesterday who tied up a whole workflow for us, or not tied up, kind of gave us some feedback that related directly to this fix that we did. So a lot of you have seen when you receive packages, big receipts, medium inventory receipts during high busy times or whatever, you'd see like the receipt completed and then all but 1 or 2 packages make it into inventory. And then you call support, and support is able to fix that. Well, we made the problem is that was timing out on the front end, those jobs. So we moved that to a back end job. So now when you finish an inventory receipt, it goes to the back end, and it's not, it's not contingent on any timeouts happening through, the system. And so we should see a relief, if not elimination, of inventory receipts, not like completed receipts, missing 1 or 2 packages getting into inventory. And what we saw also yesterday was that will also solve the problem of the sender's inventory not coming out of their system. So what would happen in those cases, from the looks of it, is if the receiver, received the inventory receipt and then 1 package didn't make it in, well, on the sender side, of course, when they go out for delivery for a transfer, then, in the system, all those quantities go into parentheses, they go into reserved, and they come out of reserved and relieved from the system once the receipt is received by the receiver. Getting twisted up there. But if the package doesn't make it into inventory, that was also not deducting that inventory from the sender. And the fix we were doing was fixing it for the recipient without us quite realizing it also wasn't deducting it from the sender. So we should also see that problem resolved now too. So thank you for the feedback from our client yesterday as we were looking into that issue.
Can you show how to do a mid-shift cash drop?
Well, yes. So a mid-shift cash drop is just going to end up being a register adjustment. So it's not going to be the closeout, but it's going to be like coming in here. And so this is why we put also the transfer cash button in here, because I'm on a different site now, a PA site, which has all these crazy registers. But the transfer cash, because originally we had modify cash. So you'd have to modify out of one and then modify back to another. And from a chain of custody standpoint, that's a nightmare, because then you have to like go back and see, like, did somebody fat finger and take out 1,000 and put in 100 or vice versa? But the transfer cash is the way right now that we have the ability to do like a mid shift, like drop $1,000 from the register or something.
I do have one more question. Would the cost issue apply to employee sample cost unit issues?
Well, so now what we would have the ability to do is split that package and do a package cost adjustment on just that one package. I mean, you still like, it's still the same deal on the item master stuff. Like it's going to be the same item master unless you make a new item master. But like if you have two of the same, two packages under the same item, you can adjust the cost for one of those individual packages.
I do have one more question. It just says 2 product masters under 1 batch.
For the vape pen, is this what this is for? I'm guessing. So it has come, well, so it's come to our attention. Robin, feel free to jump in here, but I'll do the first volley of this. I might be completely off in left field, which wouldn't be a surprise, but there is now the ability, well, there has been the ability to have the dual vape cartridges, and we don't have a great solution for that in the software. It's 2 different products. There's a just to kind of give a little over information here, there's a bundling feature we're kind of talking about, but we are bringing it up with the state and working with the state to see what kind of change request they'll want. And then if, they thumbs up a change request, then we'll scope it with them and do product stories and say, like, is this a bundle? Is this one batch, one item that has 2 batches that are different, that has 2 labels that get sold together? Or is it 2 item masters that get bundled together? So did that answer the question, or was that 2 item masters or what 2 batches under 1 item master a samples question? If so, I don't quite understand it.
Is this new inventory receipt feature for editing cost after the fact? Why the unit costs have been grayed out and uneditable in the past few days. So is the new feature the reason that unit costs have been grayed out and uneditable in the past few days?
It must, well, for sure. Yeah. You mean well, we'll have to look at that. For open purchase orders, I'm guessing is the case there. So what we did was, and this can probably be fixed. So give it a try, because okay, so this stuff is under a toggle, the feature toggle. That's how it's like kind of live in the wild, but not enabled. And so one of the things that we left outside of the toggle was the user permission. And so, for instance, editing, like reassigning packages is kind of, oops, I put the wrong product master, I'm changing that. That's kind of looked at as pretty much anybody bringing in a sales order, or pretty much anybody bringing in an inventory receipt should be able to do that and correct their stuff. Whereas with the cost adjustments, that's a lot more of a sensitive thing. So we put 2 new user permissions in the system. And so the user permissions are manage inventory receipt package costs. So maybe this is also now stopping people from doing on the fly ones versus completed ones. And of course, the completed cost changing, and that's what's under the toggle. But maybe go to the permissions and give this a try and see if this brings it back. There's differences for the inventory receipt costs. So you'll have somebody like a receiving manager that can adjust costs on an inventory receipt, but not on a package. Or you might have in-house inventory managers that don't touch the receipts, but might need to adjust a package cost. So you can really micromanage who can touch your costs in the system. And that actually hadn't rolled up to the product side yet. And that might be why the open inventory receipt cost changing might be under this as well. So apologies for that, but I think you can get it back possibly by enabling those permissions.
So we did get a clarification that the unit cost being grayed out is during supply chain mapping, not purchase orders. So we got a clarification on the other one about the two items on the product master. It says, I think they're wondering if they could merge the two product masters.
Oh, I don't think we can merge them.
Employee samples, we often get the same batch for samples as we do for sale to the public. We use two different product masters to identify this. Would the fix for next week address these issues?
Well, I mean, it just allows individual package cost adjustments on both the receipts and the inventory.
So they clarified that they split package them.
Yeah. So I think we'll need to dig in a little more on that one. I mean, so like, you know, that the samples would be really as far as the effort for adjusting the cost, the sample, like more elegantly handing the samples certainly would be a nice to have for this. The main thing was, you know, being able to adjust costs both historically and moving forward for packages and receipts. But Robin, I think maybe we
can do a deep dive on this with some folks. If you would like more information on this particular issue, if you could send me an email at am@mjfreeway.com or at Robin, ROBIN.petty, PETTY at mjfreeway.com. I'll be happy to get more information to your team. We have one final question, Seth. Will there ever be a function where you can print just one label for each product received in inventory receipts? Right now we can print as we supply chain map, but it will print one for each unit rather than one for each product name. We are thinking about using these to audit easily from the outside of a bin.
Oh yeah, a bin label. No, but if we could get Robin, if you can capture that, maybe that's a solid feature request.
All right. One other comment that it would be helpful to have unit and retail price on that as well as package information. I'll include that in my note to you, Seth. Sean has also left a note saying go into inventory item and print from there after receipt. I'm not sure if that's helpful or not.
Yeah. Helpful. Well, it would be helpful. It would be even more helpful if our search was faster. And this is actually one of the things we're working on right now too. You know, we're doing a couple overhauls and we're working on, you know, like many of you have seen, like if you cut and paste a whole name in here, it can take quite a while to search. And so we have actually a couple, you know, fairly significant changes that should turn, you know, 15-second searches into a couple second searches. Cause like the problem of course is like, if you have to come now, the nice thing in here is like when you receive stuff, the most recent stuff that was something was done to it, so to speak, that pops to the top. That's the logic of this page. So you could go down here and, you know, print these, but I get like, that's a lot more clicks, but still maybe, a good follow-up until maybe we can look at that feature.
That does seem to cover a lot of our bases. As a reminder, in addition to this, we have a full suite of features. There's Robin's email down there as well if you did want to reach out following this webinar. And with that, I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. Thank you.